All right, welcome to lesson number 2. Again, I'm so excited and honored you're here, and so incredibly touched that you decided to buy this offering from me, that you are trusting me, that you are trusting that I'm going to provide you with something that is very valuable, because this class is very valuable to me. And in this class, we're going to go through, I'm going to show you decks and Oracle, Tarot and Oracle cards that I have pulled from my collection that I think are very fantastic and suitable for this type of work. I'm also going to give you a criteria how to choose a deck. And in your guidebook, make sure you download your guidebook. You do have also how to choose your deck criteria that I have created. And I'm going to show you, demonstrate how the decks I picked match that criteria. So that way you can find similar decks in your collection. You know me, if you've taken my other a la carte classes, let me give you a little bit of the same spiel. So the same spiel is this. You don't need any of this. Anything that I show, you don't need any of them. You can do this work with very standard classic decks, such as Aleister Crowley, those deck. And by the way, every deck that I'm going to show you today is in your guidebook, in your workbook, on the last page under credits. So that way you know what I'm showing. If you are interested and you want to get any of this, you don't need them, but you can. If you have, resources, you want to go for it. But you can definitely, if this is your standard deck to use, you can use Aleister Crowley's Zos deck. You can absolutely use Tarot de Marseille, any Tarot de Marseille deck, which is another system that we're all familiar with. And you can absolutely use Rider-Waite-Smith. And every time I show this one in all of my videos, I make fun of this. It's like a hinge door. This deck. So I shared with you my trauma wound, my biggest trauma wound when I was 16 years old. I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is a cancer of right knee, and I had 16 chemotherapies and spent a shitload of time in a hospital. I was in a wheelchair. My sister took me to Barnes & Noble. I was 16 years old. I saw this deck behind the counter. They kept their decks back then behind the counter. And I asked my sister, Helen, because, at 16, I didn't work, to buy it for me. And she bought it to me as a gift. And this was my first deck until I became, as many of you know from my tarot channel, absolute Zos devoter. But I keep this as very special to me. And this deck will always be special to me in this regard, no matter how detached I am from it in that sense. So you can definitely use, and it makes me laugh, that box. I gotta ask David. David is so good. My husband, David, is so good at patching up things and patching up boxes. I gotta ask him to patch up that box for me. So those you can definitely use. Having said that, look, there are a reason why there's so many decks in the market, in my opinion. And the reason being is because a lot of them are tapping into particular themes and context, and those themes and context also carry energetic frequency in alignment with that theme and context. And so while you can absolutely use a standard tarot deck, there are, in my opinion, tarot and oracle decks that are even more energetically matched for the work you're doing. And in this class, we're focusing on healing trauma wounds. And for this class, some of the decks that are more energetically healing are going to be, for example, let me give you an example so that you know exactly what to, in case if you're thinking, what are you talking about energetically healing? For example, this is SelfCare Wisdom cards, Oracle cards. So let me start off by showing you some decks that I think are just very energetically in alignment with this work. So look around in your collection. Do you happen to have any decks that emphasize self-care, that emphasize healing, that emphasize or to maybe just have that healing, gentle touch? Well, this is specifically a self-care deck. It is a very, how should I say it? So this deck is interesting to me because the art, if you know me, the art is not my cup of tea, but you don't have a guidebook, you have messages in a bag, and the messages are absolutely superb. They are amazing. They're amazing because the messages in the back are very, first of all, they make you think. They're kind of perspective shift messages. And they're also superb because they are messages that are very action oriented. And I'm all for action. So this one is a mass-produced deck from Amazon. And as I mentioned in class number 1, self-care is going to be a huge part of trauma work. It's incredibly integral and important to trauma work. So having a deck like this is very, very helpful. If you don't have a deck like this, again, you don't need to. But if you are thinking about acquiring a few decks for this particular type of healing work, this could be a great tool. Another great one is, I'm trying to think how I want to shift this around, guys. So give me 1 second. Okay, another oracle that is indie produced. I hope it's still, I think it's still out and printed, has a great guidebook with it. It's called Archaeology Oracle deck. Again, everything I'm showing you is going to be listed below in credits, so you don't have to figure out what am I saying. This one is really, really fantastic. It focuses on our skeletal system, and it focuses on points that need to be addressed. With trauma, as many of you know, trauma tends to, we think we carry trauma oftentimes in our heart, in our mind, but the truth is trauma resides anywhere in our body. And it, the book Body Keeps the Score. And trauma definitely takes residence inside of our skeletal system, inside our muscle tissue, inside our organs. I'm going to include in the credits a book that I should have brought. And a lot of you are probably very familiar with this book. It is, what is her first? I think it's Susan Hay. You Can Heal Your Body. The founder of Hay House Printing. You Can Heal Your Body. And in there, she outlines all kinds of ailments and she associates them with psychological components. So, for example, something along the lines of having stomach cancer is connected to keeping unresolved anger and unresolved jealousy and envy. And it's a great, great book to take a look at when you have a symptom, and we'll walk you through the spread that identifies symptoms. A symptom as a byproduct of the trauma wound you're carrying. And a symptom is vibrating. For example, it vibrates in your joints. Having a book like that, where you can see Louise Hay, not Susan Hay, Louise Hay, I'm sorry, my head was just spinning. What's the name? Louise Hay. You Can Heal Your Life. I'll link it below in the credits. When you have a symptom, and let's say your joint is vibrating, it's good to know psychologically what's not being addressed. So this is another one, as you can see, it's very specific. So look around in your collection, which decks are very specific to healing, self-care, body. Those are going to be one of the criteria we're going to be looking at. Another criteria we're going to be looking at, look in your collection and see which decks are gentle, loving, nurturing energy. This work, as I said in lesson 1, will require gentleness on your part, self-love, compassion. I think I would say it might be challenging to use a deck such as Deviant Moon because it's so blunt and so to the point. All those you absolutely can. I will find it challenging for me to use a deck. So having a deck that is gentle, is going to help you because gentle decks treat us in a gentle way. This is also an indie-produced deck. It is by Tricia Murray, Remembering the Sweet Fool Tarot. So here's a great, great example of a gentle tarot deck. Look around in your collection. Which deck do you have that feels like this, that has a quieter voice, that almost whispers, that has a grounding quality to it? This deck undeniably is very gentle, very loving, very nurturing. There's a lot of nature elements in it. Any deck that has a lot of nature elements, Herb Crafter Tarot, Guardian Tarot, I'm trying to think of some other nature-based decks, are going to be fantastic for this work because nature heals. If you have any oracles that have botanical elements on it, have any kind of herbs in it, all of that is going to be really, really good because that carries a healing capacity. So look around, which decks do you have that feel like this? I mean, look how quiet and sweet. Look at that. So sweet. So, so gentle. So something like this, Remembering the Sweet Fool, is going to be a really good example of a deck that is going to be very suitable for this work. Another one that is going to be, I'm trying to think how to shuffle between Tarot and Oracle for all of you here to keep it all exciting. Another one is, this is also an indie deck. This is Story Medicine Tarot, Animal Woman, 2nd edition by Jessica Zinchuk. There are 4 editions. They're all different, but out of 4, I would say this one is probably my favorite for doing this type of work. So look around decks. Which decks do you have in your collection that emphasize body, that emphasize or show and illustrate body? In this deck, Jessica is a model herself. This is also a great deck because it has so much animal healing energy in it. But which decks do you have that emphasizes body in a very positive way, where it is not body shaming, but body embracing? The reason why is because when we experience trauma, a lot of us have a tendency, depending on how the trauma has impacted you. A lot of you may have experienced dissociation. Dissociation is a psychological self-defense where, because trauma is so painful, you will almost detach yourself from your physical body. You will detach your psyche from physical body, especially during the trauma occurrence. And then after, when the trauma is being remembered, in order to not feel the pain of the trauma. It's a defense that is very adaptive when trauma is happening to you, because it helps you cope with it, but it's becomes very maladaptive because after trauma has happened and you're no longer in danger of the trauma, if you keep dissociating, then you are having a hard time reconnecting to your body and reconnecting to being here now in the present. So having a deck that brings you back into your body. Look around your collection. Which deck do you feel grounds you, brings you back into your body? Which deck makes you feel like as if you are orbiting, as if your ship orbiting in the sea, and a deck is anchors that pulls your ship down and helps you stay put? That's going to be a great, great deck. And this one is, I think, is one of my also favorite decks to do this type of work because it's so healing. It is so powerful. There's no guidebook. The messages Jessica has on each card are punchy and to the point and really good. The next one that I would recommend, let's shift to an oracle. Let's look at this oracle. So This is going to fall also, this is going to fall in the criteria of gentle, loving, nurturing, grounded, and a deck that also has emphasizes self-love and self-care. This is Kie Oracle cards that I got from Amazon, mass produced. This one is really great. Look around, what do you have that has elemental energy in it? This one only has sea, so it's only water element. As we know, water is tremendously healing. It has a tendency to calm our internal water. Emotions and feelings are also in terror, of course. Emotion and feelings are water element, cups element, but within ourselves, our emotions and feelings are also, I would say, have the same elemental capacity as water. This is why they say when you look at the ocean, it has a tendency to heal just by looking at the ocean. So I would recommend something like this. Look at this, just looking at this absolutely stunningly peaceful images. I don't know about you, but it immediately puts me into a very soothing, very grounded. It's almost like the cards themselves are healing medicine that is healing me. And in the next class, I will share with you the power and importance of images and how they work on your unconscious, because there is a spread where you're using power allies. And I want to explain to you psychologically how those things work, how when we look at the images, are they able to tap into our unconscious and do such incredibly powerful transformative work. So if you have something elemental, or perhaps you have an oracle or tarot deck that when you look at it, it just calms you down. Even if you don't feel in a state of distress, we just know, we can feel our vibrational frequency changes, it lowers. So look around, what do you have that tends to do that to you, that tends to gently bring you down? That would be a fantastic one to do this work. Now, another deck that I think is going to be really, really good for this work and actually summarizes, meets the criteria of everything I listed for you. It is loving, gentle, nurturing, grounded, self-love, self-care, great storyteller, empowers you, brings you back into your body, is going to be Circle of Dorsa. This is my soul deck. This is Rider-Waite-Smith's rendition soul deck for me. I cannot recommend this highly enough. I know I said you don't need any decks, and you really don't. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm just going to buy one deck that she shows, I would recommend buying this. This deck and the guidebook is incredible. I think the guidebook is refreshing. It's beautiful. Why is this deck? And it's all photography. I also have, if you're familiar with my YouTube channel, an in-depth review of this deck on my channel. This deck is one word: soulful. Soulful. It is so good for this work because when we're doing this work, one of the biggest things that I emphasized, and one of the most painful things about going through trauma, is that either life or people, oftentimes it is people, that steal from us our trust and our vulnerability. And regaining the trust and vulnerability, especially in other human beings, is so challenging. I think that's the most challenging aspect about healing trauma is how can I trust people again? And this deck helps with that element very well because it is so soulful. It is so people-centric in a very healing way, in a very loving, trustful way. It really reconnects you with humanity. It really helps you get reconnected with just everything and everybody. And so I cannot recommend this deck high enough. I think this is a very powerful healing deck. I absolutely adore this deck. I've been using this deck since I got it. There's only usually one deck that sits on my desk all of the time. That's those deck. And now both of them are sitting there. So Circle of Dorsa will be a great one. When we're doing trauma work, another type of deck that is going to be really, really helpful, and I mentioned this already before, it's going to be a deck that is a great storyteller. Why? Remember in class 1, I mentioned how we don't really ever eradicate trauma wounds. The goal is not to just eradicate trauma wounds because they're going to be there. The goal is to truly, the goal is for us to change the narrative. How do we think and talk about this? It is a narrative that usually, whatever we think about, the story we tell ourselves about particular trauma, that creates feelings and emotions within us and brings up things within us. So if we change the narrative, we change how we perceive it. And if we change how we perceive it, we change how we feel about it. My favorite deck for narrative work, to look at the storytelling as it unfolds, is Mary L. Tarot by Marie White. You can get this deck. Also, this is a mass-produced. Many of you may already have this deck. It is such a great storyteller because this is the only deck that I know of that has so much myth embedded in it. And myth is so vital for us in regards of making sense of our life, and in this case, in regards of making sense of our pain. So look around your collection. Which deck do you have that is a great storyteller? It doesn't have to be Mary L. Tarot. I love this card. I love monkeys. Look at this baboon. Look around which decks tell a great story. Which ones help you tap into the story? For me, it is Mary L. Tarot. For you, it might be something else. Or maybe you have this one and you want to reach for this one. Another deck that is going to be a great storyteller is going to be, in my experience, Serpent Fire Tarot. This one is indie edition. It's an indie deck. The same creator has also, I forgot the name, of Shubov Tarot, which will be really great too because it's very body-centric. Most of the stacks are very, very body-centric, which is great for anybody that are experiencing dissociation, who needs to learn how to get grounded again. It's also a deck I feel that strongly energetically emphasizes connection to the universe, connection to the cosmos, and it's a deck that emphasizes mindfulness and meditation and yoga practices without necessarily being vocal about it. And all of those things are so important when you're doing trauma work. If you can do mindful meditation as you move through this work, that's going to go miles away for you because it's going to help you. Not only is it going to help you to ground yourself and be in the here and now, but it's also going to help you to feel more kind of centered and whole as you're healing your trauma wounds. Now, when we're doing this type of trauma wounds, another thing that tends to come up for a lot of us is another thing that trauma does for a lot of us is that it annihilates a lot of our self-esteem. It annihilates our sense of self-worth. It annihilates or stomps down on our the way we tend to see ourselves, our confidence, our value. And it can be really challenging. It can be really challenging to start cultivating and working on unblocking that and working on moving past that. So looking for a deck now, we're looking for a deck in your collection that aims at empowering you, that aims at acknowledging that you are worthy, you are valuable, you do have things to offer. You are a person that needs to be respected and appreciated. So looking for decks that are going to help you tap into that will be very, very helpful. So look around in your collection, which decks tend to tap you into those type of feelings. I have 3 decks from Alana Fairchild that I think all do a great job with that. First one is Sacred Rebels Oracle, and all of the Alana decks are mass-produced. Sacred Rebels is a good way to, wow, I haven't edged it. If you know me, I'm such a chronic edger. I'm surprised I have not edged this deck. Look at this. I wonder if that's because I haven't really, I don't know why. Wow. Something to think about. I digress. This particular deck is really, really great because it puts emphasis on you and it helps you to come back to your own seat of power, and it helps you to focus on yourself. When we do healing trauma work, sometimes we can get lost on others, those who hurt us, whether they're taking accountability and responsibility for hurting us, whether they have apologized to us for causing us pain. We can get very wrapped up in that versus really focusing on yourself. And this deck helps you form relationship with yourself. It helps you come back home to yourself, and that's very powerful. So first one from Alana Fairchild I would recommend is Sacred Rebels Oracle. Another one that maybe you'll be surprised I'm recommending from Alana Fairchild, but it is going to be Coll Oracle. Now, Coll can be brutal, comes to mind. Coll can be a woman carrying a sword, no doubt. She can behead you. She can completely get that head off of you. She's a destroyer, all right? There's no beating around the bush. Coll is a force. Coll is also a force that comes into our lives. This one edged. Coll is also a force. Oh, what a beautiful image. That comes into our life with so much love and respect for us. She comes because she knows you deserve better. She comes because she knows you owe it to yourself to be better. She's there for you because she believes in you. And even though it's painful to hear what she has to say and what she has to take you through, she does it all from only one place, deep love. To me, Coll energy is the ultimate mother energy, that mother energy that truly knows how to love. Truly knowing how to love is sometimes telling your child the most difficult things, but you tell it for their greatest good. And this is Coll. Incredibly powerful for this work. If you are on YouTube, and you should be, there's a lot of great tarot YouTubers. There's one in particular, I will list her channel in credits as well. Ricine, you might be familiar with her. Her channel name, I'll link it also in credits, Owl Moon 513. She does really, really great workshops on her YouTube channel around this particular oracle. That can be just that workshop in of itself can be a really helpful addition to this work. So keep in mind, I'll link it below if you want to explore it, because, you know, Coll, stepping into working with Coll energy and with this particular deck can actually feel a little bit overwhelming, can feel a little bit like, you told me I have to pick a deck that is gentle and nurturing, and she's holding a knife. She's holding a dagger. And yeah, I think she isn't intending to instill that fear, because if you are, how should I'm trying to think how I want to phrase it. You can either fear her, who's coming for greater good, or you can either blindly fear the rest of your life. And I would rather take a dagger from her than a dagger from future pains that I have inflicted on myself because I have not healed my trauma. So just great, great work for this type of work. Very empowering, very healing at the same time. Another one from Alana Fairchild that I will say will be less about helping you tap into that empowerment, but is going to really offer you a different mother touch, is going to be Mother Mary Oracle. This one, oh my goodness, Nat, you are behind on aging. This would be look so good etched in red. I'm not sure why it has not been etched in red yet. This one is, if any of you have traumas that is still bleeding, this is going to be a great, great, gentle, nurturing, motherly touch to work with. So look in your collection, which deck do you have that is that gentle, soft touch that you need right now because the pain is so raw. Sometimes when pain is so raw, perhaps the last thing that we need is to tap into Kali energy. Perhaps we need to first process that pain, put a Band-Aid on it, stop it from bleeding, and then address how we're going to seal the wound. So sometimes before we work with Kali, we need to work with this type of energy, which is much more gentler and is intended to really, in this case, will help you stop bleeding and will help you um, get yourself in a position, better position to handle the further work you're going to be doing down the road. So look around, which deck do you feel falls into this category? This is Mother Mary Oracle. You may also have this deck. Alana's decks are very popular in tarot community. She has a lot of them. She's pretty prolific. And a lot of us either gravitate towards some of them and things are really amazing and feel like some of her other decks are not necessarily our cup of tea. Make sure you pick and choose what works for you. Another one that taps into well, before I say share this one, let me share this one because this one is a new one to me and it does such a good job tapping into what do we need for ourselves for our higher good. This is an edged. This is Ety Oracle deck. It doesn't come with guidebook. It just has messages, but it's by Mahruch from Etsy, and it's an Oracle deck that helps you tap into portal messages for your higher self. So I would really, oops, no, I was holding it right. I think this is very great because when we're doing this work, sometimes we get stuck in a vicious cycle of victim narrative, and we're not even seeing how narrative is really affecting us negatively. So having a deck that is able to tap into what is the narrative story here and how is this narrative not serving you higher good is really helpful. And I really like this one for that reason. So look around in your collection. Which deck do you have that you feel is tapping into that you feel is tapping into how to help you make decisions and choices that are better for your higher good? Now, as I said, having a deck that will empower you will be really helpful, like Coll Oracle. Another one that is also empowering and supportive and can act also as a guide throughout this work. In fact, this type of deck is so potent, including Alana Fairchild's Kali is a very potent one, that you can draw a single card for particular wound you're working with and just stick with that card for a while because it's so potently packed. Women of Miss Oracle deck, also something that you can get mass-produced. This is an interesting deck. I edged and trimmed mine, so yours, if you're going to get it to have it, may look different. This one is broken down into 3 parts. there's heroine, a monster, and a goddess. What I love about this deck is, first of all, how feminine it is. Second of all, what I love about this deck is how the messages in the booklet is written in such a very interesting and new and action-oriented way. This is really powerful in a sense that when we're working on healing wounds and we want to have a power ally to be with us, one of the greatest power ally to have is either an archetypal energy from majors, because it's so packed, or an animal spirit, because again, it's so packed, plant, nature spirit, fae energy, and of course, gods or goddesses are going to be very helpful because they are archetypally organized energetically to carry so much of energy frequency, because there are very known, a lot of people are utilizing them, and the more people tap into it, the more energetically packed it becomes. So this is going to be another one. Look around. What do you have that you feel is very potent? So we're looking for potency. Okay, my friends, I have 2 more decks to share with you. I love this. I think this is the class that so far has the most decks to share. I just couldn't help myself. A lot of decks were raising their hands and they're saying, please include me in your video. People have got to hear about us. They need to see us. And I said, all right, let's go for it. Okay. Like I said, energy of animal spirit is going to be very important. Now, this one is Kim Krantz, adorable pocket edition. Look how cute it is. Animal spirit. You may have any other deck in your collection that has animal energies. There's a lot of fantastic, gorgeous animal oracle or even tarot cards out there on the market. If you don't have and you don't want to or can't buy an animal deck, you don't need it. You can also take a picture, print a photo, find a picture in a magazine or a book of an animal whose energy you feel is going to be very conducive right now for this type of healing work. Which animal energy you want to step into? Maybe you want to step into earthworm that has capacity to regenerate itself, because you know what? You want to remind yourself that you can regenerate yourself as you move through this trauma, right? Maybe you want to tap in the energy of a swan to remind yourself to be gentle with yourself, to be kind to yourself. Maybe you want to move in the energy of cobra and to be hyper vigilant. And while you're trying to trust other people, you're also going to have your own set of boundaries. So think about which animal energy do you think is going to work for you best at this time? How can you tap into it? You know, maybe you want to be a little bit more cunning, a little bit more paying attention to red flags around you as you're doing this work and as you're opening up and trusting other people. So an animal deck is going to be really, really good and really helpful. And last but not least, this is a powerful oracle deck. This is a lantern oracle deck. It is actually created by, I believe she had a PhD in psychology or counseling, I believe, if I'm right. So it actually emphasizes a lot of healing qualities. Edged Mind Black. This is a great, great, great deck that encompasses a lot of criteria I have shared with you that is very helpful for healing trauma. It is at once grounded and nurturing and loving, and also connects you to the rest of the humanity, but also at the same time, so incredibly healing. Look at this one, radical self-acceptance. She has had breast cancer or something happened to her breast, but she clearly had mastectomy of one breast, removal of one breast. Very powerful imagery, very evoking, almost thresholds, portals that take you to the places. And the guidebook is fantastic. So having something like this in your collection, or look around if you have something like this, can lend itself really strong, healing, powerful energies to help you heal. Having said this, I also do the same spiel if you take in my other classes for one last thing for you to remember. As I always say, all of the stacks around me, and I can actually feel them vibrating, they're all their life. Everything is energy, and these are energies. They're all energy and frequencies, and they're all vibrating. And our decks listen to us. They respond to us. So as you're at home and you're looking through your deck collection, and you are thinking, or maybe saying out loud, what do I need right now for this particular wound that I'm going to work on? Pay attention to which deck jumps out at you. Chances are decks that are going to jump out, or a deck, is the exact deck you need. And it may not be a deck I've shown or fits a criteria. It may be something that you thought would never fit a criteria, but it jumped out at you. Trust that it jumped out energetically because it's matching the frequency you need, and it has that frequency for you. So use the criteria loosely. This is here to help you to make the decision, but also trust what you're experiencing. There's going to be synchronistic moments. There's going to be, when you step on the path of healing, things are going to appear that's going to help you heal. For the same reason, I strongly believe that you and I were meant to meet. You are taking this class because some part of you, some energetic part in you recognized the matching frequency of the offering I have created for you. And it felt like this is what I need. So trust those moments, pay attention to synchronicity around you, pay attention especially to how nature, how plants, how animals around you are starting to communicate to you. When we're starting to heal, guides always come forth to aid us in the process, because the rest of the consciousness on this planet knows and recognizes that the only way to move forward and the only way to expand our consciousness is through love and grace. And pain and wounds are something that the whole consciousness aims at healing. So recognize those things, recognize when they jump up, and have fun, enjoy. Please, if you are not following me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. On your last page, you have my Instagram account and my YouTube account. I would love to see which decks you have selected. I would so very much be honored to hear, how is this work going for you? What are you getting out of it? Where are you at in this process? What have you found to be most instrumental? Please do share and tag me. And I'm so excited to see you in our class number 3, where we're going to go over how exactly to use this workbook and how it is structured so that you can get the most out of it. I will see you in that class.